Hi everyone, welcome to this second video on how to use the new Durham Moths website. In this video I'm going to talk about navigating the site and a few different common use scenarios. As discussed in the previous video, the website provides a page for each species which contains all the relevant information for that species. Quite often though, it's also helpful to see a list of species, and the website provides three main ways of doing this. Firstly, you can access lists according to the taxonomy of a species, categories like family, subfamily, genus, etc. Secondly, you can access lists according to time period, when in the year each species might be active. And thirdly, you can access lists according to location, where in the county might these species be encountered. These three types of information are labelled in the menu here: taxonomy, period, and location. So let's go through these now. In taxonomy, the most commonly used one will probably be moth families here, and this provides a grid of all of the moth families that are recorded in Durham, along with a photo of a species in that family. And you can filter here by just the macro families here and just the micro families here. If you click on one of these, what you'll get is a species list of all of the species in that family. So let's have a look, for example, at Erebidae here. So here is a grid containing all of the species of Erebidae that occur in County Durham. You can also filter this so that instead of seeing species, you can see all of the genuses that occur or all of the subfamilies. Obviously, if you click on one of these subfamilies, you'll get similarly a list of all of the species in that subfamily. So let's choose one that has more than one. Here we go. This, for example, has the two snouts, the two hypena snouts, that is. And if you click, obviously, on the species here, what you'll get when you click on these is it will send you to the species page, like so. What you can also do is look at the species list. So this is a complete list of all of the species that occur in County Durham in taxonomic order, grouped by family. But here we go. This is the full list here, and again you can filter it by macro and micro here, and if you click on it, it will send you to the species page. In the period menu here, we've got one of the more useful pages, I think, for day-to-day mothing across the year, the Moths Today and Tonight page. So this takes all of the records that have ever been entered for this date in history on the Durham Moths database. As you can see, there's a little headline here that tells you there are 15 species that have been recorded on this date, not too many, which is typical for mid to late December. And you can filter this by stage. So let's, for example, say you only want to know about moths that have been recorded at their adult stage at this time of year. We should find that this provides even fewer species. Yeah, so let's cut down that a little bit. These are the adult species that are recorded on this date. You can also filter it by family and by all macro and all micro. This is particularly useful, I think, if you find something in your trap and you're not sure what it is. This page will tell you all of the species that have been recorded on this day, and you'll more than likely find it here, especially if you know the family. For example, if you know that it's a geometrid moth, and you've recorded it today, then you can filter it down to that and you'll be presented with these 4 options, and that might help you identify a species. You can get a little bit more information if you look, instead of looking at the day, by looking at the week. The website provides the same information per week. Obviously you would expect there to be more records per week, and you can see that here. Much like in the previous page, we've got a grid of all of the species recorded in a given week according to their records, and we've also included the number of individuals recorded as well. Once again, you can filter by stage and by taxon, and also you can select the year here. It doesn't automatically send you to this week. It provides all of the different weeks here. This can also be useful to looking ahead in the future. Let's say that you're planning to trap somewhere in the summer, and you might want to know what species have been recorded in that week. You can click that here. So let's, for example, take the week starting on the 18th of June. This will give you all of the species that have ever been recorded on that week in history on the Durham database here. And the last way you can do this is similarly by month. This works in a very similar way. but it takes records from the entire month. And this gives you a sort of good feel of, in a period of a month, what are the most likely species to encounter. Let's choose April, for example, and it will order the species by the number of records that have been received of that species in that month. And here you can see Hebrew character far outweighs anything else during the month of April. Quite often there are multiple pages to this because some months have many, many species. So if you scroll to the bottom, you can just go to the next page here. Okay, the last thing to think about is thinking about moth lists by location. So one way of doing this is to use the grid selector. You might remember on the species account that we have a map for each species. Well, this here allows you to select a particular grid square and look at the species that have been recorded in that grid square. At the moment it's set to hexad, so 10 kilometer square. And if you click on that square, it will send you to the page. This is NZ24, which contains the city of Durham, along with the sort of northwestern part of the centre of Durham. Again, much like on the species page, you can zoom in to see the places within this hexad. You can also click on the monads here and it will send you to the monad page. I'll show you a bit more about monad pages in a second. Again, you can reset the map. And it also shows adjacent hexads here. So this hexad to the right here would be represented here, NZ34, and if you click this, it will take you one hexad to the east, like so. Let's go back to NZ24. You can see a full list here of all of the species that have been recorded in this grid square, and I think this actually is the grid square with the most species recorded in it. I've given a taxon filter here, so you can filter by moth family or all of the macro and all of the micro families. Let's have a look at a monad page. It works in very much the same way. You can see where the monad is. You can move to adjacent monads using this here, and there's also a link to the hexad that this monad here, NZ2647, is contained in. And once again, it will show you all of the species in this 1 kilometer grid. You can also search by habitat and food plant. As mentioned in my previous video, this currently is only available for macro moths, but I'm looking to change that in the future. So, moths by habitat, you can filter the macro families here and change the habitat here. So let's have a look, for example, at geometric moths that one might find occurring on moorland. This will give you a list of species that are associated with moorland according to this data set here, which I've used to construct all of these links. You can do very much the same thing with food plants as well, but I haven't given a list because there are quite a lot of food plants. So all you'll need to do is search for a food plant here, for example, silver birch. Press enter and you will be able to click on the page for silver birch. And this contains a list of all of the species that are known to feed on silver birch in their larval stages. That's about all for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy using the website.